Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Our guest today is the one and only commodity investing legend and the founder of Rule Investment Media, my good friend Rick Rule. How's it going, sir?
Ivan, life is fantastic. The better for being on, talking to your audience through you.
You know what? It's a huge pleasure having you come down and talk about everything that's happening in the markets right now. First, though, let's get right into it. Let's start off with gold and silver. Gold, as we're recording this, is sitting about the 3250 range. What are your thoughts right now? We're seeing the stock market go up higher. The China deal has been made with Trump and the U.S. What are the positives we're seeing right now for the gold market?
Ivan, I guess if you're a trader or a young guy, you think that gold is down from 3,400 to 3,250. If you're an old guy like me, you think gold is up from 250 bucks in the year 2000 to 3,250. So I guess it's all how you look at it.
Right.
Um, I've been an investor for a very long time. And I guess because I'm calm, I've lived a very good life. If I paid attention to price quotes every day for the last 50 years, I would have had a stroke in my 30s and died. Instead, I looked at all of this as noise as opposed to music. At least after age 30, I began to invest for the long term. I've made a lot of money. I stayed very calm, and I don't particularly care about price perturbations. I like volatility when I'm on the buy side in particular because it's a series of frequent sales. Uh, but the recent moves in gold haven't been of any particular interest to me. I think I said on your show a couple of years ago, I didn't own gold because I thought it might go through 3,000. I bought it because I was afraid it was going to go to 9,000 or 10,000 or 11,000 as a
Right.
consequence of the deterioration of the US dollar. And I still completely believe that. Gold can move up and down $100 in a couple of days. And to be honest with you, never mind breaking a sweat, I don't even notice.
Right. What are your thoughts right now on the deal that was made with China for the stock market, for the U.S. economy? What are your thoughts there?
There's a lot of liquidity in the market, and I think investors were looking for an excuse to take it up. Uh, the tariff things scared people. Perhaps people were looking for a reason at that point in time to take it down. It seems to me like a lot of sound and fury, very much like the recent so-called summit between Canada and the United States, where they solved all the problems between our two countries in 23 minutes on TV. Deals are made quietly. They're not made grandstanding for domestic audiences. I suspect that we have been fencing with the Chinese and they with us for a fairly long time. And a lot of the theater that you have seen was pardon me, grandstanding for a domestic audience, and Trump grandstanding for a domestic audience. At least I hope that's what happens.
Right.
Uh, Global trade, conducted even semi intelligently, makes everybody in the world richer. And I would prefer a world where everybody in the world was richer and where everybody in the world was mutually reliant. I like that idea. I remember hearing when I was in university, which was back in the Paleolithic, that when trade crossed borders, armies didn't. Uh, and I would prefer that. I would prefer to fight the Chinese at places like Walmart and Costco.
Which is probably the best bet.
Yep.
Now, Rick, I wanted to talk to you too about everything that's happening right now in the mining sector. Silver mining stocks, gold mining companies, the producers, the explorers. What do you have a keen eye on right now? And what are your thoughts right now in the mining sector?
Ivan, bull markets take a predictable pattern. We're in my fourth now. So honestly, I've seen this movie before.
Right.
What happens is that the commodity always moves first, usually because it's oversold, because people are betting on a paradigm that was true that's no longer true. And we've seen that in the gold market in the last 2 years. I remember being interviewed by you and your readers asking me, will the gold price ever move? Said, Rick, you keep saying the same stuff over and over and over again, and nothing ever happens. Well, now it's happened, right? The gold price has doubled, basically.
Right.
Okay. The next thing that happens in a precious metals bull market is that the rising gold price, the price of gold rises faster than the cost to produce gold. That doesn't happen right away. You'll remember 2023. The price of gold started moving, but the price to produce gold moved up, and so producers' margins didn't move. And so the audiences said, when will the gold stocks move? Well, 13 weeks ago, to be specific.
Right.
The biggest and the best gold mining companies move first. That's true for two reasons. Those who produce gold enjoy better margin expansion than those who don't produce gold.
Right.
And when generalist investors come into the space, they look for the biggest, the best, the most liquid companies first. Gold stocks didn't move for a while after the gold price moved for two reasons. The gold price moved initially because of central bank buying, and central banks don't buy gold stocks. So that's why one moved and the other. That's pretty simple. They
Right.
also didn't move, as we said, because the cost to produce gold was going up as fast as the gold price was going up. So margins didn't increase. But every quarter now, we're seeing absolutely blowout quarters. We're seeing companies absolutely bury margin expectations. And so you're starting to see the gold stocks move after the momentum has been established by the biggest and the best, by the Francos, by the Wheatons, by the Agnico Eagles. We've seen, that whole sector up 50, 60, 70% in a year.
Right.
You start to see valuation discrepancies between the biggest and the best of the rest. One of two things happens. Either, in effect, value arbitrageurs come into the market and say this thing is relatively cheap compared to the big guys, so they allocate some capital there. Or if they don't, the big guys take over the little guys. He who has the lowest cost of capital wins.
Right.
So if you aren't keeping pace and you have a high quality project, if Agnico Eagle is selling at 14 or 15 times EBIT and you're selling at 8 times EBIT, guess what? You become part of Agnico. That's the way the game works. After that happens a couple times, the high quality developers and the explorers begin to work. Visualize and ask your listeners to visualize a bull market as a circus master's whip. The handle in the front of the whip is the commodity. It moves first. The high quality gold stocks are the next part of the whip. They move next, but they move further. The mid tiers, they're the middle of the whip. They move after the other two. They move further. And then the end of the whip are the penny dreadfuls. They don't move for a while, but when they move further and faster. That's the way it is. We're still in the part of the whip that's the biggest of the best. We just did a boot camp, an investing in gold equities boot camp, perfectly timed. The commodity has moved. The best of the best is starting to move, but hasn't completed the move. Some of your listeners, those who paid attention to us 3 years ago and bought the big guys, or those who paid attention but didn't buy the big guys, are going to say, "Am I too late? Agnico Eagle has doubled. Have I missed the boat?"
Right.
Well, Agnico's margins have much more than doubled. I would suggest to you that if you believe that the $3,250 gold price is going to last, Agnico Eagle is cheaper than it was when it was selling for half today's share price.
Wow.
If you do a net present value calculation on their proved developed producing reserves at today's gold price, Agnico is cheaper than it was 18 months ago at that gold price. If you don't believe the gold price is going to hold, that's a very different circumstance.
Right.
For the record, I don't believe the gold price is going to hold. I think it's going to go higher.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose-built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metal storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
So, what would be, let's say, Rick, this is your last interview, and you wanted to give your advice to the people and the youth out there who are just any piece of advice it could be for this day and age. What would it be?
Probably, I'm afraid, three pieces of advice. I know you want a simple declarative statement. Um, Invest in yourself, invest in your education, read, invest in your reputation, your brand, invest in yourself. The world is going to become increasingly stratified between those who produce value for others and those who don't. And those who don't produce value are going to be replaced by machines. So invest in yourself and invest your knowledge. Invest in your knowledge. The second thing is whether or not you're materialistic, live below your means.
Right,
Even if you don't want to get rich, understand that my generation voted itself all kinds of cool benefits, but we forgot to pay for it. And your generation's going to have to pay for it.
right,
Save and invest, not merely to become rich, but in fact to survive. I talk to young audiences a lot, a lot. And when I tell young audiences in the United States that the net present value of entitlement obligations, unfunded entitlement obligations in the US is $100 trillion,
jeez,
and that the value proposition is that they're going to pay in until they stop, but they aren't going to take out, that they're going to have to rely on themselves, that all the benefits that I've enjoyed aren't there for them. Boy, talk about a deer in the headlights look.
right,
But this isn't some grumpy old libertarian telling you this. Uh, this is something that if he paid attention or she paid attention, your high school math teacher would have told you. There's a little poem I learned as a kid. It goes like this: when your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall.
oh, jeez, that's a
So
good saying.
save and invest. Live below your means.
Oh,
You're going to need the money.
yeah, that's fantastic advice. What's your third last piece of advice?
Um, you are the sum of your friends. If you hang out with high quality people, honest people, happy people, you're going to become one. And if you hang out with the folks behind the 7-Eleven, uh, you might have some fun for a little while, but
Right,
you're going to end up in fentanyl. You're going to end up miserable. You're going to end up a lying, cheating, thieving, no good for nothing bum.
right.
It's not up to society how you end up. You are the aggregate of your friends.
Wow.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who your family was. There was I think, a little sister song when I was a kid. Your mother doesn't make you good. You're the one.
And that's so
So
true.
yeah, choose who you hang with and choose how you conduct yourself, and do it now because it's your reputation and your education that's going to make you whatever you want to be.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Rick. That's beautiful advice. But before you go, I really want people to connect with you. I know you have, we can email you for, so you could pick people's top 5 or top 10 stock picks. I know you're always backed up on them, but where can people
Well,
contact
first of
you?
all, there's no limit, but you have to own them.
Okay.
If you own 25 stocks, send me 25 stocks. Don't send me 200 stocks that you're considering, but any natural resource stock that you own, send me. I'll rank it. No obligation. 1 to 10, 1 being best, 10 being worst. I'll comment on individual issues if I think my comments have value. Please, no crypto. Please, no tech stocks. Please, no marijuana stocks. Let me do what I do well.
Right.
Uh, and that's service is absolutely free. Because it's free, as I laughingly say, money back guarantee if you're not wholly satisfied. Uh, the second thing that I want to talk to people about is I think, doing my 30th annual Natural Resources Investment Symposium in Boca Raton, Florida. You can attend it live in Boca Raton, or you can join people last year from 33 countries that watched it via live stream. However you watch it, you will have access to the recordings for a year, and you're going to need them because we're going to give you more information in 50 hours than you could possibly absorb in 50 hours. I put on the conference, and I had to play last year's recordings twice.
Wow.
Why is this such a good conference? Well, first of all, we've been doing it for 30 years. If you get a little bit better every year for 30 years, you get pretty damn good. And we're pretty damn good. One thing is that we have great, great, great macro thinkers. We teach you the way the world is, not the way the CBC or CBS wants you to believe it is. And we don't have journalists telling us the way the world works. We have players. As an example, we have David Stockman, who was the director of the Office of Management and Budget under Reagan, guy who wrote a book called The Triumph of Politics that details the political derailment of the Reagan Revolution within 6 months of inauguration. He
Wow.
just wrote a book called How to Actually Cut $2 trillion out of the federal budget. So this guy's going to talk about U.S. debt and deficit, U.S. government spending. He's not a flunky journalist at Bloomberg. He's a guy who ran the Office of Management and Budget. In a biblical sense, this is a guy from the belly of the beast, right?
Right.
We have Nomi Prinz. She's talking about Wall Street, the structure of Wall Street. Again, not as a journalist. She was a partner at Goldman Sachs. She was there, right?
Wow.
We have Daniela DiMartino Booth talking about the Fed because she was a researcher, senior researcher at the Dallas Fed. We have Jim Rickards talking about the intersection between Wall Street and Washington. How does he know? Well, he was general counsel at Long-Term Capital Management. The bankruptcy of Long-Term Capital Management damn near brought down Wall Street.
Right.
We have Grant Williams talking about leveraged financial markets. How does he know? Well, he was a senior trader for a big European bank and then ran their Asian desk. You get what I'm saying, Ivan?
Yeah.
We move on to there to have just top-notch analysts and portfolio managers from the natural resource space, not some flunky junior analyst from a brokerage firm, who failed at bonds, bond analysis and failed at supermarket analysis, is now parachuted into natural resources, but rather people who've made money and managed natural resource portfolios, billions of dollars
Wow.
for 30, 40, 50 years. We have a panel called the Investing Legends, where the best of the best will talk to you about the thrills and spills of natural resource investing for 4 decades, how they succeeded, where they failed, what can make you a better investor. We have Investing Legends, not Investing Legends, pardon me, the Living Legends panel, which are people who've built multi-billion-dollar mining and oil and gas companies from scratch, telling you how they built $2 or $3 million market caps into billion-dollar market caps, and telling you, more importantly, how to discover today's 10 and 20 million market caps that can become $5 billion market caps.
Wow.
Every exhibitor at our conference, Ivan, every public company exhibitor has been vetted. At every other conference I know, the qualification to be an exhibitor is simply a check that cashes. At our conference, you have to be owned in the portfolios of the conference sponsors. It's a very different level. We,
Wow.
in fact, turn down more exhibitors every year than we accept. Importantly, too, our conference doesn't take place over just 4 days, because before the conference, I interview and publish interviews on YouTube and at the Real Classroom with every single exhibitor, so that you can watch the exhibitors before the conference and allocate your time and resources at the conference better. All of that allows me to say to your listeners, Ivan, if any of you, for any reason, don't believe that you got your money's worth at my conference, I'll give you your money back. There's no financial risk to attend this conference. No other conference promoter in the world has the stones to say to his audience, if you are unsatisfied for any reason, I'll give you your money back. Attend live stream. But come prepared to work. If you're the kind of person who buys the Sunday paper to look at the funnies and do the crossword puzzle, you don't want to come to my conference.
Right.
We are going to work your little bottom off for 50 hours over 4 days So if you're prepared to work, if you're actually prepared to invest in yourself, if you want to be positioned to really, really, really truly make money in the bull market that's already underway, there is no better investment in your time and treasure than your own education. But if for any reason you don't think that the education that we give you is worth the money we charged you, we'll give you the money back.
Wow, you know what? That's incredible, Rick. I'm gonna put the link in the description below. Everyone watching this, I highly recommend to sign up for the event. The link will be in the description below, so you can go straight there and get into it. Rick, such a huge pleasure having you come down to speak to the silver and gold community. And as always, as the market develops, really love to have you back on soon.
Anytime, sir. I love the work you do. I've enjoyed our interviews over the years.
Yeah, me too. All right, talk to you soon, Rick.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.